NECA has done it once again. If you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you love all those fighting mutants in all their fun forms, you know you want an action figure not of the mutants, of them in their human form. So we have the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive from, I think it was 2022, but it is all of the human forms, Premonition of Premutation. We've got Baxter Stockman, we've got Splinter, we've got Bebop, and we've got Rocksteady. And really cool display case. It's got a pull down window. You can see all of their accessories. NECA absolutely loves their accessories, so this set is no different. We've got a little Mauser in there coming with Baxter Stockman. We've got some baby turtles in a fishbowl, and we've got our two goons, Bebop and Rocksteady, in their human form with a boombox to play their loud music and annoy the neighbors. And we've got some spray paint in case they want to do some light tagging. And the fold-out display actually looks like it could serve as a floor also. It looks like it's part of Baxter Stockman's lab. It's got some discarded things on the floor. We got a chain. But the packaging alone makes this really stand out. Really, really fun packaging. But to have even more fun with it, I think we are going to open it up and have some fun with it. So let's do that. I am expecting a lot of ties because there are 4 figures in here, and NECA absolutely loves a secure figure. So we will see if how much luck we have getting these out in a relatively pain-free way. So wish me luck. So when you take the figures out, the backdrop and the fold out kind of make this little cool scene where you have a floor. And it looks like we have like a Krang with a mustache about to steal a diamond. I'm not familiar with where that might be from, if it was a kind of like an episode of the cartoon. I'm familiar with the cartoon. I'm not familiar with that scene, but I will have to go back and assess if Krang ever grew a big bushy mustache. I'm not even sure if Krang can grow facial hair because he is a brain, but whatever. We will not judge the background display. So let's first start with our bonus hands. It's going to be helpful to remove these so we can cut out the figures. So these are taped on the side, and we're just going to take those off. It looks like each one of them comes with 4 hands, 2 for the left, 2 for the right. And it looks like Splinter's got 1 extra hand, so good for him. And then we are going to start with my favorite of this 4-pack, which is Baxter Stockman, who is probably, if I had to rank them, probably one of my favorite Fly-related characters. Maybe tied with Jeff Goldblum, not as the character of the Fly, just as a person. I always associate it with him with the Fly now. So Baxter Stockman and Jeff Goldblum, top of the list, always. So it looks like we have somewhat freed our scientist. There we go. So we have Baxter Stockman, his wild, crazy hair, his trench coat, or lab coat, I guess, and his nice bow tie. He is ready to go. He is purely in it for the science and for evil. He's got his clenched fist, which is not a normal look you really associate with a scientist, but as I said, he's evil, so he does have a little bit of an anger, violent streak to him. So that's okay. All in all, really enjoy this figure. He's such a fun figure. I really like his character in the cartoon. I like him better when he's in Fly form. Probably one of their best villains. He's the one who talks back to Shredder all the time and questions them. And we'll just take a quick look. This is what he looks like in the Fly form. This is just a fun character. Love Baxter Stockman's design in Fly form. I think he looks absolutely incredible, but we're going to focus on our scientist. So the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon figures, what they do, so they have a few different styles for Ninja Turtles figures from NECA. There's the movie line, which are more detailed, very movie accurate. There's the comic ones that have somewhat of like sketch lines on them so that it looks like a comic book, and then the cartoon ones which have very dark lines to make it seem like it's from the cartoon. So what we're looking at now, you can see every single dark line on it, whether or not it's creases on the arms or just the accessories, the clothing. There's just a lot of that dark line, like you would see the outline in a comic, or sorry, in a cartoon. So that's what we're looking at right now, and everybody loves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original cartoon from the 80s/90s. So right now, a lot of NECA's cartoon figures are from that. I'm not sure if they're ever going to do and branch out into some of the other cartoons, which in my opinion were also amazing. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but there's so many characters in the original cartoon that they're probably just going to continue with those for a while. And then here we have the loyal pet robot thing to Baxter Stockman. He's got hundreds of them. They're always going after the turtles, the Mousers. They are a fun character, a lot of personality in the comics because they kind of behave like dogs sometimes, or I guess mice, but mice don't really attack people and guard people. So I'd say they're more doggish, but they're called Mousers. But that's okay. All right, so we are going to free some of the accessories in the middle. I think there's shared compartment space between Baxter Stockman and Splinter, so I think any of the mechanical contraptions that look like you can do evil science with are probably Baxter Stockman's. I can't see Splinter using that for anything other than maybe a vase, but it probably wouldn't hold flowers too well. And then we've got this turtle contraption that looks like it's also good for evil sciencing. And I'm not sure who's going to claim this one. It's like a little canister that has mini Ninja Turtles, but they're not on the bottom. They're kind of floating. I feel like I'm not recalling any of the TV episodes. If Baxter Stockman shrunk them at one point and put them in a canister and poked holes in the top, or if this is supposed to represent them growing, but they didn't grow into full form miniature like that. So I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the cartoon. I'm a little bit ashamed of myself that these are likely references to episodes that I just can't recall. And these little turtles are amazing. These are in the very first episode when Splinter is collecting his little turtles that he found in the ooze, and he puts them in a tank, and then the next day they are mutant baby turtles, and then he grows them like his children. So let's free our master. So this I always found interesting. Depending on what version of Ninja Turtles, either the comics or the cartoon or the movie, there's always some different backstory to Splinter. Whether or not he was just a karate master, and in human form, there was Shredder and Splinter knew each other, Oroku Saki and why am I blanking on his name? Hamato Yoshi. They knew each other, they were trained together, and then one of them turns into a rat when mutated, and that doesn't necessarily align with some of your mutated animal. So a lot of the other versions you'll see in the movies is he was a rat who was living in the sewers of New York City, and as he collected the baby turtles in the ooze, then he mutated with them. So the cartoon's just so prominent that there's that human Splinter form versus the little rat Splinter form. And actually, I don't even think we see a lot of. I guess you can't really do a little rat figure to pre-transform. And it looks like he did lose a leg, so we will probably have to make some sort of splint to help him walk. Hence the name Splinter. So there's that. But with NECA and a lot of these new figures, usually the pieces just pop right back in. So we'll just push it in a little bit. It looks like it's a little bit loose, so I might have to do something afterwards to fix that. But For now, it holds in, it's good. I might not be able to bend his knee as much because the Neca joints are usually a little bit tight out of the gate. You have to work them in a little bit or run them under some water to get them a little bit looser. So I'll probably have to do that with the knee and maybe put a little bit more pressure to try to pop that leg in or put something on it to hold it in place a little bit more. But we will, that seems like a problem for another day. You could see the peg on this is very tight. So in order to work that in to get the leg joint moving, I gotta kind of snap it out of place on the original form. But focusing on the actual character and the design of the figure, just the face details, very close likeness to the cartoon. You've got the nice facial features, the high cheekbones, and he's coming with the fists, but I don't see Splinter as using his fists, more his words in his tail or doing the karate chopping. So probably one of the very first things we need to do in order to truly appreciate this figure is swap out the hands to give him something more representative of the Splinter we know and love, which is the karate hands. Or I guess I shouldn't call them karate hands. They're just the flat hands, but he's in like a karate pose. He's ready to do some chopping. So if you've got some carrots and some celery or some Foot Clan, he's ready to chop them all. And I'm going to help him out and give him a hand. And with these figures, there's a peg in the hand. You can just plop them right out and then poke the other ones back in. Pretty easy, not too much pressure needed. And now we have ourselves, in my opinion, the best hands that he comes with, which are also pretty unique. A lot of the other hand designs are very standard. You have the punching hand, the holding hand, but these ones are the chopping hands. I'm glad that they made it into the set. I imagine when they were doing the design, these were probably on the chopping block for a while. I guess probably just for the design, but all in all, these are the coolest hands in the set, in my opinion. So we will just move that out of the way so we can actually see and move around and play with our figures. And let's see who to free next, Mr. Bebop or Mr. Rocksteady. I think we might just go in order. Actually, no, I take that back. We're going to change it up because I think Bebop is probably one of my other favorites. So we're going to go Rocksteady first and save the Bebop for last. So Rocksteady is our thug who was turned into a rhinoceros, which is a pretty powerful beast, and he's not the brightest. An actual rhinoceros is probably brighter than him. In the cartoon, he was definitely used as the comic relief and also always messed up any plan that Shredder and Krang had in motion, which after the first attempts that were failed, you would imagine that they would stop putting so much of the weight of their plans on Bebop and Rocksteady. I mean, it looks like they had, from the size and the look of the Technodrome and all the advanced equipment that they provided Baxter Stockman, that they had the budget for it. But that's just poor management. They really should have either brought someone in for middle management to help these two out, or just get someone else. Like, they might not have wanted to lay them off. Perhaps they had families at home that they were trying to look out for. But all in all, they probably could have been a lot more successful if they just managed a little bit better. And this is not on Rocksteady and Bebop. They were trying their hardest. They really did. Their skill set just did not apply to the job that they were put into. So out of the box, Rocksteady's ankle is a little bit odd. It just looks kind of twisted, and it doesn't really bend the way that I think it should. I think it's just a little bit stuck. So I'm going to have to probably play around with that one a little bit to kind of set it right. As long as he could stand, though, I'll be happy. He'll just kind of be leaning to the side, which kind of makes him look a little bit more intimidating, I would say. Yeah, so neck articulation, really cool. Love the haircut on him. Like, you can see the black lines around the hair to give it that cartoon feel. And just a solid figure. He's got his boombox, so he can listen to it on the subway. He can drop it while I'm trying to display him. Or he can really just listen to his favorite tunes. I think, if I remember correctly, Kenny G is his music of choice. Any of that slow jazz, that's Rocksteady's jam. And he also really likes the soundtrack to the horror movie that was released in the 90s, Rhino, What You Did Last Summer. There's the Rhino themed murder mystery. So, and now we are on our last of the figures. We just taking a look at some of the accessories between them. Looks like we've got a bat for Rocksteady, a bat for Bebop. We've got some spray cans for them to use, and a chain that they can use for some, I guess, swinging or attaching a hitch to something. Anything just to really secure what they're ever trying to move. And we just knocked over Rocksteady, which is ironic because he was not that steady. Definitely not like a rock. So we are opening Bebop, and I can go on and on about his backstory and what his inspiration is, but I feel like that in itself would be a bore, and he does plenty of that when he mutates into a boar. So we're going to skip that, and we're just going to open him up, and we're going to break my X-Acto knife. It didn't actually break. It looks like the blade just slid out. So if you have never fixed an X-Acto knife, they unscrew on the top like this, and then you can just slide it back in, and then when you turn it back the other way, it tightens, holding onto the blade. So very easy to fix, but when you're working with a blade cutting plastic, you just want to make sure that it's secure so it doesn't fly off and either cut you, cut the toy, or just get lost, because no one wants a blade just sitting on their floor, unless you're just invite Wesley Snipes over and the chairs are broken and you just allow him to sit on the floor. Then that's acceptable. So we have almost freed our Bebop. We're just cutting all the accessories out. So when we flip this over, everything is good to go. And I think that is the last of our ties that we have to cut. And let's see, did I miss one? Yeah, I think one more to go, and that should do it. And all right, just pull these guys out. So the paint cans, and we've got the chain, and paint cans are dropping. But these are pretty fun looking. I could see using these in some of the stop motions, just having fun with them. And the chain is really cool. I like that little accessory. You're able to hang it so it can sit in their hand, and it just kind of hangs like a chain would be expected to hang. And then we've got looks like a crowbar, a pool cue, and another baseball bat that they can kind of do their thugging with. So we never actually gave Rocksteady his accessory, so we could, as the two of these are a duo, we can take care of them together. So just looking at the details of his face is really, he's got a little bit of a imperfection back there on his, oh, it was just a white dot, came right off. But yeah, his face is a lot of fun. I really like this. And the details of his vest, and he's clenching his fist. He's not happy about something. And yeah, and his collar is a flimsy plastic, which is really cool. That keeps it secure, and he's got his belt buckles on his boots. This is a fantastic design. Really like this Bebop. He is fashion forward and ready to be the best dressed warthog when he mutates. And that's the premonition of that premutation there. He's ready to go. I see a fashion designer in his future. And now we'll take a look at some of the bonus hands that he has. So this is the grabbing hand. So if we want him to hold his bat or any of his weapons, we do need to swap out the punching hand. And let's see what we want to do for our Rocksteady. We can try out this kind of grappling hand, but then we also want to give him a bat. So we're going to look for the right hand, not meaning the one I'm looking for as in correct, the actual right hand, because we're going to put on his right arm. So I think you follow. All right, so we'll pop that one off, and we will get his holding hand on there. Just squeeze that one in. And while we're at it, we'll put the right hand, meaning the correct hand, into his left arm. It's got a cool little bracelet that is movable, so it comes off when you take the hand off, and when you put the hand on, it holds it in place. And we're going to give him his bat club weapon so he can do some good bonking. And with his arm out, it looks like he's kind of ready to balance himself, to grab onto someone and just smack him with his stick. And he is got a smirk going, so he is proud of himself. He is ready to do no good. And now let's change up and accessorize our fashion forward bebop. And we're going to want to give him the holding hand because we want to give him one of those accessories. So we have the choice of crowbar, pull stick, or the bat. So crowbar is thin. It looks like it's going to be hard to put that in without breaking. It doesn't fit naturally into the hand, so I'm probably going to avoid that. I do like the idea of the bat. These two strike me as blunt force instrument kind of characters. All the accessories they come with are for good thwapping, and I like the bat. It's actually funny that they gave Rocksteady the shorter, stouter club and the taller, skinnier Bebop gets the taller, skinnier weapon. And then how we would use the chain, you can just kind of drape it over his hand. And here's the pull stick, and then the spray cans. So really love the accessories. NECA always does a great job just loading accessories in all of their figures, especially the Ninja Turtle figures, especially the cartoon ones. They're so much fun to kind of reference, and they always put in little nods to the show. It's always fun to open up the Cartoon Turtles figures from NECA. And the boombox that he comes with, if you do not expect me to use that to have Rocksteady woo somebody, you clearly are not familiar with my style of making sure my action figures are wooing everyone that they could. That's why I have a Ric Flair action figure. And here's our Mauser. We're just putting them all kind of displayed standing so we can get one final look at how amazing this set is. Just everyone in their human form, just ready to mutate into the wild party animals. So love this set. Thanks, NECA. Thanks for watching.